Hi friends, today we are going to San Island. Our point of interest today is the American camp which is located on the Friday Harbor. Why it is called Friday Harbor, that is also a different story, but we will show you today what is the place where both the armies, British Army and American Army, came almost at war due to just killing of the one pig by one of the armies. So this is a place which was not defined in 1842 when 92 parallel was decided between now Canada and that time British territory and the United States. The state line was drawn and it ended in the sea, and then there was an own interpretation of British and Americans, and San Island both had the disputed territory. Both were considering the boundary on other side of the island. This is the place where US forces were deployed in 1859. They came here to defend this harbor which was part of the US. In July they came, they placed the engineer detachment, made the obstacle there because this was a tip which was all around surrounded by sea. 3 gun positions were made, wire obstacle were made, other things were made. So this has been made now a memorial. In 1859, there was an agreement achieved with the Britishers, and they left this place. As a result, they handed it over to Britishers and to the Joint Command. Later on, they preserved this memorial and made this as a monument. Now this is a monument. You can see some old bunkers which they have preserved, old obstacles, and now they're just going around. House moves here. This is a historic house which was moved here. This was the first location of this house, and this was brought back here in 2010. 1850-60s vintage house. This was removed during the war and brought back here in 2010. These were the officers' quarters when Captain George Pickett abandoned Fort Wellington in 1859 to set up a post here on San Island. He dismantled many of buildings and brought the materials here. This officers' quarter was built by Pickett using some of former fort's material. So this was officers were staying here. This is a flag mast. We will show you en route. There is a strong wind here, and those time also it must have been very difficult to hold the post because it was cold, windy and very chilling. July 4, 1868. Life was not at our reveal drill and taps for the island soldiers and marines, as depicted in this 4th July of celebrations. American and British troops regularly socialized with one another on their respective national holiday. July 4th, the Americans and Queen Victoria's birthday on May 24th. This is a picture depicting that. Since this was a disputed, so both the armies set up the camps there and started building up their forces. When in 1859, Great Britain and the United States agreed for a joint occupation of the San Islands until the water boundary between the two nations could be settled, it was decided that camps would be located on either ends of the island. American camp really began on a grassy slope about 200 yards from the shoreline of Griffin Bay. That's where Captain George Pickett and company the 9th Infantry landed on July 27, 1859. With the First tent stake Pickett established an American military presence in the San Juan Island that lasted for 14 years. Pickett decided to change the location 5 days later, perhaps in a quest for a level ground, but more likely because of the British naval guns looking down his throat. It wasn't until the August 10 arrival of reinforcement under command Lieutenant Colonel Salas Casey that he found the permanent home. Casey had decided to move after spending 2 stormy nights at Pickett's second camp. On August 22nd, Casey ordered his growing force, now 450 men, to pull up stakes and relocate to the north slope of the ridge just north of the Hudson Bay, which was a natural home of the pigs. That area was once home to the pigs, stayed the whole mess 2 months before Casey ordered large clinical civilian tent shipped from Fort Stilcombe to new site which Casey deemed a very good position for an entrenched camp. The tents would supplement the clapboard buildings Pickett had already shipped over for the fort. The veteran colonel also ordered Corps of Engineers Second Lieutenant Henry Martin Robert, later to achieve fame for his rules of order, to start work on a earthen fortification on the Fridge. Some of them can be seen even today. The US Army encamped at what is now the American Camp Parade Ground literally was a scatter of colonial civilian tents and wooden structures relocated from Fort Billingham. There was an incident where a pig was killed and both the armies came to a literally war position, but timely intervention by the Britishers and the British Columbia governor saved the situation. As a deterrent, the post served its purpose until November, when Lieutenant General Winfield Scott and British Columbia Governor James Douglas finally agreed to a peaceful joint occupation by the company from each nation until the boundary dispute could be resolved. Casey and the bulk of the troops departed along with the artillery. The living of the island in this camp was not simple. Living on this island was not simple. Many soldiers suffered, many committed suicide, and many deserted. Soldiers preferred shifting logs from the bottom to avoid the boredom and then have the local liquor which was available in St. Jude. So this was the history, and now this land belongs to United States. And good thing is they have preserved some quarters which we have shown in the video as a part of the observe mess. Some bunkers has also been preserved, and they are beautiful beaches. We'll see some historical facts on this board. Some soldiers died here because of sickness, suicide, and other knowns. This was the time of Civil War of 1861 to 1865. This was almost a forgotten post where number of soldiers varied from maximum 105 to minimum 6. See the 6 people living here in isolation and holding the camp. It must have been a very, very tough life for those soldiers who lived here. Even today, it is difficult to spend a day here in chilly winds and cold weather. But those days for soldiers, it must have been a great effort physically and morally to stay here. We salute those soldiers irrespective of the country they belong to, and it is a tribute just to come here and pay respect to those forgotten soldiers of this forgotten island. One when comes here realizes the toughness of those area, toughness, the hardship faced by the soldiers that time and how they survived. At one point this camp was just held with 10 men, and such a vast land there was such a isolation. So we salute those soldiers from either armies who manned these posts in those times where there was no communication at all and they were living in total isolation. I hope you liked our video of this American and the British camp on San Juan Island, now part of the USA.